looking at it.
Which is nice. In fact, it's twice as fast, which is incredible. Professional strength liquid plumber clog remover.
Whoa.
Yes, there is a best.
Now your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
We're watching a rainy scenario stretch from Colorado to Florida this Wednesday. The deep south is getting the brunt of it. A heat wave still holds on tight across the southern plains and southwest, and we have our first tropical storm of the Atlantic hurricane season. Those are our top stories today. Welcome to Weather Center. I'm Dan Atkinson. Let's begin with the rain. Here's a look at the radar satellite composite, and we've put the fronts on there as well to show you that one of the big rainmakers in the country's midsection is a trough over northern portions of Oklahoma and a frontal system to the north, and sandwiched in between you're getting some rain across much of Kansas into Missouri. In fact, there's the possibility for some flooding across portions of southeast Missouri where a flood watch continues in effect. Also the potential for strong thunderstorms today across the southeast into the central plains and the interior west. Occasionally here and there we're getting some severe thunderstorm warnings firing up. Northeastern Nevada, for example, southern portions of Colorado. Right now, southwest Georgia, one of the areas where there's some heavy weather. We'll show you on radar in just a moment. Even occasionally across the northeast where most of you are dry, where there are some instances where showers and thunderstorms are sweeping rapidly through. Places like Boston, where you've had, in fact, some heavy thunderstorms come on through, and it has produced a special marine warning for a time, Boston Harbor and other nearby waters. But those thunderstorms are pressing on off into the Atlantic now. They do stretch in a narrow line back through the Hartford area and on into the Hudson Valley. You could ultimately, in the New York City area, have a brief passing shower. Philadelphia, too, may have a late-day thunderstorm rumble through. This along and ahead of a frontal system that'll bring you noticeably less humid weather tomorrow. Not a big drop in your temperatures right along the coast. For example, in New York City, you should have a high tomorrow, like today, roughly in the upper 80s, but it'll be noticeably less humid tomorrow. But the showers are to the north and west of you in New York City, and again, there is that possibility that as you maybe start to head home on the LIE, you'll have to deal with a shower or maybe a thunderstorm. Across the southeast, many areas are continuing dry. Texas, unfortunately, one of those, but showers and thunderstorms are active now across portions of Alabama, West Georgia, portions of Florida. Marion County, Florida has had some heavy weather at times, and right now over southwest Georgia, Early and Miller counties, where yesterday you had some strong thunderstorms sweep on through. Once again today, severe thunderstorms affecting Early and Miller County. They're moving toward the south at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Number of other strong thunderstorms, as you can see, from Dothan, Alabama, back toward Evergreen and up toward Montgomery, extending on close to the Birmingham area. White County and central Arkansas, one of the few areas getting precipitation, getting a lot of false echoes across Arkansas at this time, but there is this severe thunderstorm moving slowly across central Arkansas. White County, if you're a resident in those areas, prepare for rapidly changing weather conditions. Across the Midwest, high pressure, which is a part of a Canadian air mass, which is drier, not a lot cooler, but it is drier. Leading edge of that drier air stretches now as a stationary front through Springfield Central Illinois, back into the Kansas City area. To the north of that zone, we have some overrunning moisture, some upslope winds, and that's produced some light rain back over the northern plains. But a thin line of showers and some embedded thunderstorms over portions of the Ohio Valley, and a threat for some flooding over southeastern Missouri. I want to remind you that there is that flood watch in effect for several counties here in the southeastern part of the Show Me State. But on the radar satellite composite, you can see very clearly the thin line of showers and thunderstorms stretching from east central Ohio, now south of Columbus, affecting travel along I-71 briefly, and then extending right on through the Indianapolis area. Not drifting around much, so continued showers for you if you're soon to get on the roads across the Indy area. Meanwhile, back toward South Dakota into western portions of Minnesota, a broad area of light to moderate rain with occasionally an embedded thunder shower or thunderstorm that's sweeping on toward the east. In the western portion of the U.S., as the afternoon has heated up, we're finding showers and thunderstorms quite active in some cases. We've had some severe thunderstorms here and there over portions of southern Colorado, northeastern Nevada, and at this time you can see to the north and east of Denver strong thunderstorms making their way in toward Akron, for example, off to your southwest. Sidney, Nebraska, you have storms down to the south and west, and the northern edge of that cluster of thunderstorms could be coming your way. And we certainly see sunshine being enjoyed across much of California today, right on up toward Portland and Seattle, although there are beginning to be some showers in the Cascades of Oregon, as you can see. Current weather map shows, unfortunately, no precipitation across Texas again today. You continue to have just hit or miss showers around the edges, and it's still very hot for the 24th day in a row. Dallas, you have hit 100 degrees. And of course, it has been a sweltering 3-week, now going into 4-week period with the very hot weather in Dallas. Are these folks sick of it yet? We would guess yes, but White Rock Lake still seems to be hopping with outdoor activity. And looking ahead, the 100-degree streak may be broken this weekend, by this weekend, so keep your hopes. You may have some relief in store, but not today. And also 103 at Oklahoma City, 100 at Little Rock, 93 in Charleston, 94 in Jacksonville, 84 in Atlanta. Let's check the heat indices. 105 at Dallas-Fort Worth, Little Rock 110, 104 at Houston, 100 at New Orleans and at Miami, and a heat index of 92 all the way up toward LaGuardia, I believe, is where we're getting that value. There are needs for caution even in the Northeast today. Before that front comes through, in New York City, Philadelphia, you are in a caution zone. This is the forecast for tomorrow, actually. And once again, we have a broad area here where danger is we're reminding you that it is dangerous for the heat and humidity combination. So wear lightweight, light-colored clothing if you have to be outdoors. Current temperature 73 in Boston, where you've been cooled by a thunderstorm, 88 in the Big Apple.
Thanks so much for joining us for Storm Watch. Coming up shortly, I have a look at where there's some flooding rains from thunderstorms. But for now, on our tropical update, John Hope is here to give us the latest on the Pacific and Atlantic.
Thank you very much, Rich. And we'll begin with the Atlantic, where we have Tropical Storm Alex way out here in the Atlantic. As you can see here, it's a long, long way from land. This is about a 24-hour loop, and you can see what progress is made in the last 24 hours or so. Also have some disturbed weather down in the southwestern Caribbean. We'll talk a little bit about that. Not concerned about it developing, though. And lots of weather off the east coast and the old frontal boundary. And we have a new depression down here just south-southwest of Acapulco. And farther out, off this frame, we still have Tropical Storm Darby. These are the latest positions on our storm. Alex out there, 13.9, 41.9. And that is some 1,175 miles east of the Lesser Antilles. That is to say, just about east of the island of Barbados. And as you can see, it is moving not as rapidly as it was now, about 16 miles an hour. And it's headed right straight toward the west. So we're a little concerned down the road here in the islands here, from the Virgin Islands down to the northern Leeward Islands, say in about 3 days from now. So folks in that area might want to watch this very carefully. It's too early to say for sure. of course, that it will have any direct impacts on the islands, and of course it's much too early to even begin to speculate on whether or not it might have any direct effect on the United States. That would be far down the road in any event. Now, the picture shows us a storm not very well organized. We can see some outflow around the eastern semicircle in particular, but in the western semicircle it's inhibited somewhat, and that is because some southwesterly winds that are impinging against it. So any development, we think, in the next 24 hours will be very, very slow, and after that it could find itself in a little more favorable situation and maybe would have a better chance to go ahead and increase at that point. I wanted to show you off the west coast of Africa. We have yet another vigorous tropical wave which has just moved off the coast, and so we're going to have to watch that. We think the circulation center is a bit north of where we see these thunderstorms, but we see some pretty good wind shifts and some pretty good pressure falls with this system as it came off, so we're going to have to monitor that rather carefully as well. Looking at the origins here in July, we don't look normally very far out in the Atlantic, but as we segue into August here, then we begin to look all the way across the Atlantic for the possibility of tropical storm development. These are the upper winds still showing high pressure over the eastern Atlantic, and as far as that goes, over there it's quite favorable for development. We do believe it's going to continue to be that way. The flow gets a little more complicated though up ahead of this depression, and here you can see some of the southwesterly winds which are just beginning apparently to impinge a little bit on the storm now, and that's why it's keeping it from getting very developed. We have enough westerly winds down here in the southwestern Caribbean, so we're not too concerned about that system developing. Now in the Atlantic Ocean between the Caribbean Sea and our storm, this is our storm, it's a beautiful day, very few clouds at all, and certainly no kind of threatening weather. These are the thunderstorms I spoke about, showers and thunderstorms here east of Nicaragua, north of Panama. They've increased some this afternoon and kind of moving toward the north. Normally, if we see something this far south, we are not concerned about it moving up this way because it generally moves inland. This doesn't seem to be moving west too much, so we'll just wait and see what happens to that. Okay, we have a new tropical depression here. This is centered just 170 miles south of Acapulco. The wind's already up to 35 miles an hour, moving toward the west-northwest at 7. The estimated lowest pressure is 1,004. Our main concern here with this system is that it's so close to land already, and right in here is the area where the center is, and showers already impinging some on the coast, so this may be close enough to the coast to produce some pretty heavy rains, and we do think it's going to increase and be a tropical storm, so that could cause some problems for sure. Darby is weakened. It's down now to 60 miles an hour. We expect it to continue to weaken. We expect it to pass well north of Hawaii and not really have any effect on the islands, whatever. So that's the tropics for this time, and now we're going to turn you back to Rich for the U.S. weather. Rich?
All right, thank you.
You know.
Wednesday.
And this is Friday's new Chop House Classics. Served sizzling hot for a taste that's a classic. The new Chop House Classics at Fridays. Good day.
Not a good day.
Now your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
Texas continues to bake under 100.
Welcome to the Tropical Update and Storm Watch. We're going to be talking about the first tropical storm of the 1998 Atlantic hurricane season, and also touching base with you during Storm Watch on where our greatest chances of storms are across the country. But first, let's go to the Tropical Update and give you the latest information on Tropical Storm Alex. Still a long ways from the Lesser Antilles, still a long ways from the U.S. You can see it right here. It came off the west coast of Africa. It's still in the middle Atlantic. It has not strengthened very much at all during the past several hours. And if anything, we're expecting perhaps a slightly more southern component to its track. In other words, it was expected to go like eventually northwest. It could stay a little, still moving westward, a little south of northwest, if you will. So we'll have to really keep an eye on it in terms of its impact on the Lesser Antilles, which are composed of the Windward and the Leeward Islands right here. This is Cuba right here, and this is Tropical Storm Alex. The latest information, you can see as of 11 o'clock Eastern Time, it has not strengthened around the center of rotation, 40 miles per hour, moving west at 15. So the forward motion has slowed down. It's been slowing down since yesterday. It was at least 24 miles per hour, the forward motion at one point in time. So this is slowing down as it runs into unfavorable winds aloft, or at least those unfavorable winds aloft are just to the west of it. We've got a southwesterly component to winds toward the west, and also have a trough just ahead of it. So that means the slow intensification is expected to continue. We're not expecting this to really strengthen very rapidly at all, although strengthening is forecasted. Now here's a look at the convection now. Generally in the middle Atlantic, in the tropical regions here, the greatest thunderstorm activity or convection occurs late at night, or really right before daybreak, as opposed to, say, what we see on land, where often they occur in the afternoon. It's just the opposite. So with this, we could see more of a flare-up as the hours roll on. We'll be watching this carefully. You can see the convection right here. Most of the intense convection is to the north of the center. So we'll be watching this. That means that's where the cold cloud tops are. That's where the heaviest rainfall is. But it's not really coherent here. Not that coherent, not that well defined. But this is the tropics. It's tropical season, so we'll be watching it carefully for you. Here's another one that has at least possibilities coming off of the west coast of Africa. This is just to the east of Tropical Storm Alex, and we'll be watching this very carefully too, because it looks like this has at least a chance of getting going in terms of tropical development. We'll certainly be watching it closely. Here's a look at origins and principal tracks of tropical storms and hurricanes in July. These, as we go back in time in history, these are the tracks that tropical storms and or hurricanes have taken in the month of July. So you can see in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, although the Gulf of Mexico lately has been dominated by high pressure, sinking air, and therefore has stopped tropical formation. Let's take a look at August. We start getting into the Cape Verde season. Now this is where Tropical Storm Alex originated, off the west coast of Africa, and often these storms will make their journey all the way across the Atlantic. So we're a little premature, but not far away from August on climatology in terms of storms making it all the way across the Atlantic. But we're close enough, I believe. We'll be watching it carefully. Here's our counterclockwise winds, the upper level winds. These are generally unfavorable for the development of storms, or at least they are an impediment. They tend to shear any storms that may want to get going or trying to get going. So because Alex is running into this area of troughiness or low pressure, this could be a component that either slows down Alex or maybe even perhaps is the main means for the demise of Alex. But that's not for certain. This could shift somewhat. We'll be watching it carefully. Here's a look at the storm right here. Again, not looking overly impressive now, but anything can happen as time goes on. We'll be watching it very carefully for you. If it gains enough strength, it could make its way through that trough of low pressure. We've also got some concerns right here. You can see this flow, this counterclockwise flow across the